Okay, going to work on this page, which will then be the second page or first inside page of the little journal page book project. This is kind of what's going to go on up here, except these two leaves will not be glued down in the centers, so they can actually be little tuck spots, but the limb will actually be glued down flat on the page. But I want to work on the pocket area of this page first, and it's going to consist of this little fence, and then it's going to have this little row of pumpkins along the bottom, and I just kind of alternated the colors, and they'll be spaced out so that they fit from one edge to the other of the fence. And then the little grass so that it creates some dimension in the little scene. But if I glue the fence down just like this on either edge, it's going to make the pocket kind of stiff to get things in back here. So, since we have these little fence posts, and I'm just super happy with the way the front turned out. I got all the other parts that needed to be flat, and there's the top tuck spot and the bottom tuck spot. But for the little fence, I made these little bitty gussets to go on either side of the outer fence post, and that will give just a little bit of expansion room in the pocket, so it won't be so difficult to get things in and out. So I'll put a little glue, and I lined these up so that they would go from the top of the fence post before the little dog ear all the way to the, or right at to the bottom edge of it. So there's that one in place. And because they match up with the little fence posts, you won't be able to see them on the front side, and the bottom edge is going to be hidden by the. So now you'll notice, even just laying it flat here, once only these edges are glued down, then we have enough expansion room to fit a few more things inside the little pocket. So, and I gauged where I wanted my little fence to go, so I put some little pencil marks so that I would know exactly where to line my bottom edge of my fence up. And I want this edge of the fence to be to the outer side of my center score line. So when this folds together, it won't interfere. And then I don't want it to come quite to the edge on this side. So that's where the little fence will get glued down. And I'll put glue just on the little hinge sections. And get one edge in place, and then put the other side in place. And then when that dries securely, then there's a little more room for tucking 3 or 4 cards at a time into the little pocket. Now we're going to scoot this up just a little bit. I want to add the little pumpkins, and the pumpkins are only going to be attached to the bottom edge of the fence, because I want as much of the fence to show as possible. And come on. And that way it allows for a little deeper pocket. So something along those lines. So I'm going to take this one out first and put just a little bit of glue there so that it's not going to interfere with the depth of the pocket. That way the pocket's actually going to come almost to this bottom edge, because the bottom edge of the grass will be glued flat, and that's what will hold the bottom edge closed. And I want the pumpkins a little offset. I don't want like all of the stems straight up and down, and I want a little bit of movement to the row. So, and anywhere I need to tuck any extra glue, I can go back and do so the same way I did on the front, by taking it and putting on the tip of my pokey tool and just scooting it under those edges, and that seems to work perfectly for my needs. So make sure we have these two kind of balanced. I love the way the pumpkins turned out, coloring them with the Distress inks. So I was real happy with my pumpkins. There. Oh, that is just too cute. Okay, so now I want to put a little glue on the outer edge there, and along this bottom. And get this lined up. I'm not going to worry about that little spot right there, because we're going to add a few little sunflowers. So when I actually get ready to do that, which will be part of the all-over finishing process, then I'll trim off the grass there that's not needed, and there's going to be a little sunflower stem or something there. But I'm just so super pleased with how that turned out. But it just helped make a lot deeper pockets, and then lets the item actually go all the way to the bottom. And I just liked that look. Okay, now, and to give a little strength, since I was only using one really thin thickness of the cardstock for this particular part of the project, I coated my stem with some matte medium, which helps give it a little durability, and it doesn't take away from the overall look of the cardstock, because it's a matte finish, so it doesn't dry with any kind of shine or sheen to it. Now, get that kind of right there in place. And then any little pieces that still need to be tacked down, I can go back and I just take and put a little bit of glue out, and then take the little pointed tip of the pokey tool and rub some glue and tack it down. And I've just found over the years that doing something like this is just the easiest way to get those small amounts of glue where you need them. when I first began doing this, I used a stylus that, and actually my old one is out in my studio, but it had a similar tip to this, only it was actually even a little smaller, and that was what I used to use to do the same, adding the glue. But after I started using a stylus, the pokey tool so much, it just got where it was habit to use this to do that. There. And then I'll double check that once I know that glue has set up. And I keep debating on that little stem. It almost seems a little bit long. So I'm going to cut it off and just kind of camouflage it with a little bit of ink. That's going to be cute. And then I've got a couple of little bitty tags that will be used to tuck right under that leaf. And then I'm going to, once I get the two larger leaves on there, then I'm going to use some of these little smaller leaves here and fill in some of the places, but I want to get these right where I want them before I add those. So I probably won't add them until I go back and add the little sunflowers and such that I'm going to put on there. But then these little leaves will become little tuck spots. See, I've got a little skinny piece of cardstock here. Isn't that going to be cute? So then you can have a lot more places to put stuff and a lot more elements to it. So that's just how I created this page after I got all my little fence area and the row of pumpkins designed. So I'll work some more on this one and be back to start on the next one. Thanks.